Welcome to Fandom Power.
Hey guys, Wes here for Fandom Power. Even though the show's over, there's still more to talk about, and this is the Star Wars Aftershow. So we're clear. I'm just gonna let the program roll. We're just gonna record for the sake of recording. For Andy, we're clear at 1:32, and then everything after 1:32 is just kind of bullshit talk.
Yeah, timestamp it.
The lost episode.
Yeah.
I'm from Halifax. I haven't said Jesus fuck in an hour and a half. Is that okay?
Phantom Power After Hours.
Yeah, really. You just need to stay indoors and stay away from the lobster dispute that's going on in Digby.
Oh, man. It's funny you say that. I just found 20 acres for sale, $29,000 in Digby.
Really?
Yeah.
It was big news here. I don't know. It probably made the rounds for you.
It was all over the news tonight. 6 o'clock.
Year before, somebody up in Cape Breton was offering land to come and work a store somewhere out on the Cabot Trail.
Yeah, it did cross the radar.
Yeah.
There's actually there's a few different places in Canada where there's like properties for a loonie, and there's some caveats. But there's a place in Saskatchewan that is like, if you move to this place in Saskatchewan, I couldn't tell you where it is exactly, and invest, like, we want you to take this retail space and turn it into a business, and if you can do that within a year, it's
yours.
It's yours.
Oh, that's
you don't
cool.
have to pay. It's like a loonie or something like that.
Yeah.
And there's all kinds of places like that with like
that sounds like a government
incentives. Thing. Yeah, probably. Well, they were paying people to move to Manitoba for a long time.
Sure.
And then I don't mean they were like, oh God, I'll change your life to move to Manitoba. They were offering incentives, certainly.
So I didn't bring it up when we were talking about the other influences, but going back to fan films for a minute, did any of you guys see, there was one that came out earlier this year where it is a crossover film that bridges Star Wars to Indiana Jones.
Oh, the dream theory.
It's not even a dream. It's Indy and Marion are excavating a site in Egypt, and you're looking at the back of the site and it looks like the conning tower of a Star Destroyer, which if you look at it from the back, looks like a pyramid. So they think that they're looking at a pyramid. They get inside and they realize it's not a pyramid because it's a crashed Star Destroyer. And the Nazis obviously show up, and of course they kind of parallel the Empire. But turns out that, I don't know if it's Marion. One of them turns out to be like force sensitive because in their archaeology, they've uncovered some cave drawings which kind of depict sort of some of the imagery from Star Wars, and in the dig they find a lightsaber, but it's like it's really
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's super cool. Yeah, and then so in order to drag to save, I want to say it's Marion that they go to save, but Indy basically sacrifices himself by powering up the Star Destroyer and basically takes it back into space to drag the villains off. It's really cool. I can't tell you the name of it. Oh, I should look it up.
I'll find it.
I don't have my phone on me, so yeah,
that's
super cool.
It's probably got origins in the fact that there's a couple of the hieroglyphics from Raiders of the Lost Ark that were C-3PO and R2.
Yeah. What did you think of the all of the prop drops in Solo in Dryden Voss's chamber?
I thought it was amazing. I'd seen it in stills, and I kept waiting for that Mandalorian armor to come to life and do something. And I definitely wanted to see it. And especially now, I kind of went back and looked at some stills and paused my HD TV to see if I could see any connections to the future of either with Rebels or the Mandalorian, to see what kind of armor it was, what color it was, really, because it's very vague and in the background. But there's that really cool weapon that it's holding. It's like a fanned blade. It looks reminiscent of something from the Knights of Ren, actually.
So Andy's just showing me right now. It's called Star Wars Origins, and it's definitely the film I'm talking about. It looks really cool.
Write it down.
It's funny that you mentioned too. That's a whole thing now too. Is that when
we digested this content on our, as you say, unless you had a laser disc, that pinpointing frame by frame, watching for an Easter egg was non-existent.
Oh no, yeah, exactly.
And now, especially now with Disney Plus, and that they've got everything there, and you're hearing things of, oh, people discover, this from, Empire, and you're like, oh, how did we miss that? But it's like, exactly, unless you watched it 100 times, like right on Super Crawl on the VHS, it was impossible to get all these.
Impossible. I remember the rumor that there was a tennis shoe in Return of the Jedi, and looking for it, and not knowing what scene it was from, not knowing, on what character or anything. Just a rumor that one of the characters accidentally they didn't, take off his tennis shoe. I watched it forever.
There is a kitchen sink in the opening sequence of Revenge of the Sith.
Nice.
There's that opening sequence where there's the big capital ship battle over Coruscant. And right. So Obi-Wan and Anakin are darting in, making their way to Grievous's ship. And there's a scene where they do a flyby, and there's a piece of debris from an explosion that makes travels from the top right of the screen to the bottom left and impacts into another ship. And that came out of, I don't know if it was a daily or it was Lucas was looking at this sequence, and he's like, wow, you got everything in there but the kitchen sink. And they went back and they're like, well, we'll put a kitchen sink in.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Nice.
But like it's kind of neat to watch.
A scene in the Empire, just a guy in the background on Bespin, and he's holding like an ice cream maker.
Yes, and now we know what it is.
It's the comptroller or whatever. It's the the thing he calls it in. It's full of Beskar in that Mandalorian episode.
And to think,
little cool nods like that drive me wild. I love it.
To think of how old that ice cream maker was in 1980.
Yeah.
And to either to try and find one or have to reproduce it in a prop shop somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm watching a lot of Tested lately with Adam Savage, and I didn't realize that he worked on The Phantom Menace.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was a model maker on The Phantom Menace.
Crazy.
He and the two Grant Imahara was also on Star Wars. He was involved.
He just passed, right?
Yeah. But he had a hand in building a lot of the droids. Like, he was heavily involved in the R2 Builders Club. And the other guy from Mythbusters, Tori Belache, he was also a model maker at ILM for a while.
Wow.
Yeah, so no surprise that they got hired for Mythbusters anyway.
God, I missed that show.
They don't do it to the same degree, but honestly, like, Adam does, he does these one-day build videos where you never know what he's going to do. The other day he was building, he did a two-parter where he was building the Samaritan from Hellboy, but he did it out of a billet of aluminum, so it's like as screen accurate as he can get it.
Did you see today's on that where the magnet failed?
On the Samaritan?
Yeah.
No.
But now when he spins the barrel, it clicks.
Oh, that's super cool.
And he's like, I didn't even think to do this, and if I hadn't put the magnet in, it never would have happened.
Right.
Because that was actually to make it hold it.
Yeah.
And then whatever he was doing. Yeah, and now when you spin it.
Oh, that's super cool. So we were talking about The Mandalorian, and like I said, I've watched it front to back 3 times now. I'm probably going to do it again before season 2 starts. But we were watching it, and of course I'm, how nerdy I am. I'm all over this stuff all the time, but my wife was so disappointed to find out that Pedro Pascal is virtually never in the suit.
I was too.
Yeah.
I did not realize that.
So
it's like
he's a composite
3
of
different actors, essentially.
Yeah. Having, Pedro as the face and the voice, and then having 2 stunt performers, one who is essentially a martial artist, and another guy who's their firearms guy.
But it makes sense, right?
Oh,
and
totally
that's
does.
Right? There's a reason Ray Park was Darth Maul.
Yeah.
It wasn't because he was a great actor, or the guy that played the bad guy on Game of Thrones. He had no lines, and he was
the Mountain.
The Mountain. Yeah.
No, the Walker.
Okay.
The
Night King.
He was the stunt coordinator.
Oh wow!
And they're like, "Yeah, you're in."
So Benioff and Weiss essentially admitted that they had no idea what they were doing when they got hired to do that show, and now their Star Wars project is kind of in limbo. Think they're related?
I heard they completely backed out.
In favor of what?
Of the Star Wars, of a Netflix series.
Oh, you know what?
A superhero Netflix series.
Yes, I think you're right.
Yes, sir.
There's a lot of that going around. They just announced a Static Shock movie.
I did hear about that.
Gordon.
With
you guys been watching The Boys?
Oh my god, that's so good.
I just finished
really
season 2 up, and I haven't read. I'm standing in chapters because the only way I consume comic books these days are trade paperbacks.
Certainly.
So I go into chapters and I walk into the graphic novel section. I'm like, oh, The Boys. And then I'm like, oh, volume 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And they're all
it's so much worse. I mean, not worse. Like, it's so much more intense than the show.
Yeah.
Actually. The comics are so much more graphic.
But every trade paperback is like $30. And I'm like, fuck, I want to read it, but I don't want to pay that much
Read comics
money.
online, Wes.
Comicsology, baby.
So
just read comics online. Just literally Google that. You'll find a bunch of sites.
I destroyed a laptop.
I haven't found anything yet.
I destroyed a laptop on torrents, and I've been hesitant to ever go back in that rabbit hole because I don't want to kill it.
This is almost like a Netflix for comics.
Yeah.
Comicsology.
Oh, it's a great service. It's just you have to kind of know what you want when you go into it. Otherwise, you'll just drown in the variety.
There are a few key stories that I want to read. Like, I still to this day would like to physically have all the trade paperbacks for Blackest Night because I was really digging that, and I never got to read it. Short of the first.
Readcomicsonline.to.
Yeah,
and it's literally something I've searched. I've never not been able to find.
Yeah,
even obscure stuff. And they put new stuff out weekly.
Are you staying up to date now that Marvel's got the Star Wars license? Are you staying up to date on that?
I'm like an armchair quarterback. I read a lot of articles about the comics.
That sounds like me.
The Vader stuff is amazing.
I heard that it was good.
So I do follow the Vader comic quite closely, and it's really good. And I've been following the Star Wars, the main Star Wars comic. They did a cool thing. They skipped The Empire Strikes Back and went to what happens after. And there's some really cool stuff there where a whole period where Luke doesn't have a lightsaber. Right?
Oh, because he lost it at Bespin.
Right, so he's searching for the lightsaber. And there's a lot of speculation. Like there's some really beautiful stuff going on, especially in Vader. I can't say enough about the Vader
Well, isn't
comic.
that one of the biggest... So that I think that's one of the biggest complaints, and we didn't really talk about that when we were talking about the films, but like, you know,
how did Maz Kanata get it?
So there you go. Like, how did it find its way from Bespin into her footlocker in the bottom of what Takodana?
Well, that's a story for another day, Wes.
This is the after show. We can talk about whatever the hell we want.
No, that's what she said
her
in
line.
the movie.
Yeah. But
that's
again,
beautiful.
That's a paycheck for another movie.
Who's the girl?
Is it really? Yeah. Is it really worth another movie though? Like the same thing with like, who is Broom Boy? What's Broom Boy's story?
It's Ryan Johnson's love child.
Is it really?
No, I doubt it. No.
I have to say I did enjoy that part where it's on the nose that being a Jedi. If The Last Jedi did anything good, they did that, where you don't have to be a Skywalker to be powerful with the Force. You don't have to be...
perfect. Yeah, perfect.
You can be anybody.
And I kind of got the vibe off the rise of Skywalker, and this is something I was sort of speculating to myself and to the people that'll listen to me talk about the idea that...
I'm your people, dude.
Yeah, being a Skywalker is now... I think if they move forward in that time period, you might not have Jedi anymore. You might have Skywalkers.
Oh,
we talked about that.
Right?
Follow me? You know what I mean? Like
I do, yeah.
And I think her taking that name is more like taking the mantle.
Like Samurai is a title.
Because didn't we talk about that there's
actually...
actually...
Not as a last name in the lineage, but as a title like a samurai. Exactly.
You are the Skywalker.
Well, so that's already been canonized to some degree in that new Thrawn novel.
That's right. The Skywalkers.
They were Force-sensitive navigators. They were essentially the navigators from Dune.
That's right.
Without the spice.
That's right. It was a Chiss word that translated to Skywalker.
Yeah, exactly.
Spice melange.
Yeah.
I'm disappointed that got pushed back too. I was really looking forward to that as a remake.
Man.
That and Batman.
All my favorite movies that I wanted to come out this year got pushed back. And
did you see that? Did you see that Batman trailer?
I was the one where friggin' the Sparkle Boy from Twilight beats the pulp out of a henchman. Yeah.
I'm like, I saw that. I got so excited because back in the day, the bad guys weren't afraid of Batman because he was the Batman. Yeah. They were afraid of the Batman because he put you out of commission for life.
Well,
he wouldn't kill you. He'd damn sure fuck you up.
I'm not going to argue with you on that because I'm clearly not the greatest Batman aficionado, but cinematic or on-screen Batmans, Ben Affleck is my Batman. And
dude, his fighting style in that movie is exactly the way I always
You want to talk about
Batman
a brutal Batman? Like, look at the way he cleared that room. Like,
yeah, I agree.
I'll give Affleck his due. Like, that was impressive. But this is the first time, like, I am vengeance. That's a classic line, and this is the first time I really kind of believe it.
And what I feel like they feel like they're allowed to do that with a superhero after Netflix's Daredevil. Because if you guys watched that,
oh my god,
living fuck out of people.
Yeah, it was
amazing.
Fantastic. It was the high watermark for those Netflix series.
Absolutely.
I really like The Punisher too, though.
I really enjoyed the first season of The Punisher, for sure.
I
agree
The
with
Punisher.
that.
I had a hard time watching it for other reasons, but I
understand.
I powered through it.
Totally. Yeah, yes, sir.
It was like telling my wife, "Hey, babe, I need to go see the medic movie. I need to go see Hacksaw Ridge." And she's like, "Are you sure?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's about a medic. I have to go see it."
That was a good movie, though.
She's like, "Are you sure you want to do this?" I'm like, "Oh yeah." And then I'm nearly ripping the armrest off my seat watching this movie. She's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Nope." She's like, "Do you want to leave?" I'm like, "Nope." I'm sticking it out.
I mean, we do it to ourselves half the time. Let's be honest.
That's a testament to a good movie, though, right? Like, it can evoke that in you, right?
Oh yeah.
So
I went to watch. Sorry, I just anecdotally, I went to watch Fury with a bunch of old tankers.
Oh, that's a great movie too.
We were sitting in the back of the movie theater, and the guys were just cackling at some of the horrible, awful things that were happening on screen. And literally everyone else in the theater like turned around and stared at us.
Yeah, it's when you. I don't want to say when you've been there and done that, but when you live the experience. When you have those experiences, you can never watch a Hollywood-ized version of that the same way, right? It's not
objectively right.
No, it's not possible.
Except for Stripes.
Stripes is fantastic for.
That's the fact, Jack.
Yeah. So
where have you been, soldier? Training, sir.
So the film industry, or I should say the movie theater industry, is in a nosedive.
Yeah.
I thought about checking it out recently, just
so
to see. I think it was
Empire.
Yeah,
Empire's been playing this year because of the anniversary. They've been playing it, and it's been on, like Cineplex has been playing for like $5.
I can't remember what it was. I wanted to check out. I kind of looked it up online.
Yeah,
and I did go to a lot of movies before. I'm like a Cineplex scene member.
Yeah, that's us.
Shit, right?
Yeah,
and it was like all movies are $5 across the board.
Yeah,
at least here in Halifax.
Same here in Ontario. All of the
and they're back to
back to
$2.
They were
Tuesdays.
Yeah. Except now they don't sell any concessions, and you have to wear a mask during the movie, and you have to. It's like every other seat, and it's. I got to eat popcorn, man. It's part of the whole show.
Exactly.
Like, I could sit at home and watch a movie with popcorn.
Are the theaters making exceptions for the people in your bubble? So if you come in with your wife and your child, can you sit 3 across?
Yeah, I think so. Yes. Yeah.
Because I haven't been, so I don't know what they're doing.
I haven't been either, but I did some research, and I got sort of checked at like no concessions and wearing the mask the whole movie. I'm not an anti-masker by any means, but
I have
come
this
on.
this awful vision of a future where the theaters as we know them don't exist, and you just have to if for that sort of experience, you go online and you're like, all right, I want to see this movie. And then once a certain number of people have said they want to see that movie, it'll be like, all right, these are the times that we can put that movie.
Right.
So have you been? I'm not really a sports guy. I don't know if there are any other jocks, closet jocks.
Oh,
here,
we've already decided that when it comes to podcasting, we are sports free.
Yeah, nice.
The closest thing to sports we talk about is axe throwing.
The sporting world has been doing this thing, and I couldn't tell you what sport it is, but I believe it's the NBA.
Yeah, the NBA bubble.
The paper people in the seats.
Right, or there's been one event or more of monitors, if you will, in the seats, and you can sign up.
Really?
It doesn't cost you anything, but your face will be on the monitor.
That's cute.
The NBA is charging. I don't know what wrestling's doing something similar to that. With the NBA, you had to be a season ticket holder.
Okay,
and then you basically and then $60, which for a season ticket holder really is nothing.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
And then they basically tape a tablet to those seats.
Wow.
Right, and you watch it from that seat.
Yes.
Yeah, yes.
Is that perspective.
And I saw like screen caps of that, and it looked so fucking dystopian. It was crazy.
I can only imagine.
The NFL did a game where they had just the entire cast of the town of South Park.
Yeah.
That was their whole audience, and I like that.
Major League.
Let's do more cartoons like that, like the Flintstones and Hanna-Barbera and shit.
Yeah. Major League Baseball let you send in a copy of you. So, I mean, there's been some interesting things done with that. So, I mean, there's lots of people that are just uploading themselves, but there's people that have been uploading people of domestic violence or drinking and driving and then putting them in a MAD t-shirt or whatever the American version is and using it as a PSA, right? Because then all of a sudden in the outfield, there's little Billy Smith that was killed by a drunk driver in '95.
Right.
So they're putting I see dead people.
Oh yeah.
But
they caught shit on WWE because
you just ruined that movie, man.
Way to go, man.
Spoiler. No, people were, because it's live feed coming from these people's houses, so some of them were dressing up like KKK members, and somebody posted a picture of Chris Benoit.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh man.
That's some real trashy moves.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't ever go into a virtual reality chat room, fellas.
Okay. I take that as a fair warning. Yeah.
I'm very careful about who I hang out with online now, because
oh, hell yeah.
humans are trash. Like, as a species, like, you guys are all right, but like, people...
You think?
Well, I mean, all I can see is your screen.
I've always said that a person is awesome, and then there's that line from
Men in Black.
People are stupid.
People are dumb, panicky, dangerous animals.
Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's another movie too where and it might even be a follow up in that where it's like, no, a person is smart, people are dumb.
Yeah, that's the same one.
Yeah.
Tommy Lee Jones telling to Will
That's
Smith.
right. Yeah. Let's go back to let's bring back we can get WWE in here for a second. We saw the going back to the Mandalorian season 2 trailer with the Underground Fight Club. So let's take all the Force users out of the equation and let's throw let's say Han and Chewie in the ring with Boba Fett and Bosk.
Oh. I don't think it's you know what? I don't know if
young Chewie or old Chewie.
Well, Chewie.
Everybody in their prime.
Classic trilogy Chewie.
Okay.
Which is really only 25 years.
Well, because you see him in Solo and he's ferocious.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Well, watching the Mandalorian trash 3 Trandoshans, Bosk isn't nearly as intimidating to me anymore.
No, not as though. Yeah, exactly.
Right, and like Han is all swagger. Like I love him, but he's all swagger. I don't know that he could throw or even take a punch beyond, giving Lando a pop in the mouth.
Right.
But he's all like.
That's why he's got Chewie.
Right, and he's all talking his way out of things and like sidestepping things and gaining different sort of social political advantages.
Your quintessential charisma-based character.
He would be your equivalent of.
I seduced the princess.
No.
Whereas
I'm
Harrison
thinking,
Ford, the man, the actor, is the best punch taker in Hollywood.
Yeah. I think of like maybe Han Solo, if he was to step into a competitive, the squared circle, he'd be like the Jimmy Hart of Star Wars, right? He'd be like the ultimate like flail throwing his arms up. No. And then and then you turn around and then he gives you the low blow between the legs, right?
That's right.
Where did he get that folding chair from?
He's got a goddamn steel chair.
That's cheating, plain and simple.
But you talk about Trandoshans and how like after seeing The Mandalorian like clean 3 of their clocks, and they just
Yeah,
they don't have that same appeal. Contrast that back to the episode of is it the Clone Wars or is it Rebels? I think it's the Clone Wars where the Trandoshan hunting party has got all the Wookiee kids.
That's very true.
Right, and
Hunting
they were
Jedi children.
Yeah, that's right. And Ahsoka had to rescue them.
Yeah.
Those guys seemed relatively, I would say, a credible threat.
Yeah,
certainly
definitely.
their trophy room would imply that.
And then there's the Trandoshan character from Squadrons, who's a totally different take on Trandoshans. He's like a gambler. He's interested in money.
He's an
and
opportunist,
he's quite noble, actually.
Yeah.
You're listening to Fandom Power.
So I'm not 100% up to date on. I didn't watch any of the cartoons, but I do know they're excellent.
Yeah, sure.
Ahsoka, does she ever get killed, or is she just ominously left to dangle?
So
No,
Ahsoka, go ahead, Andy.
is there not a rumor that Rosario Dawson has been tapped to play her
So
in season 2?
it's not
I
a
was going to
It's not
say,
a rumor,
I
sir.
thought she was coming in.
So Ahsoka, in a nutshell, Ahsoka was Anakin Skywalker's Padawan learner.
Oh, I know most of the story.
Throughout
I've
the
read
Clone
the
Wars.
Wikipedia page.
So after the Clone Wars, she doesn't resurface until season 2 of Rebels, where she surfaces under the code name. Oh, help me out here, Hank. Fulcrum. So Ahsoka has been leading a resistance or a rebel cell or operating independently as a rebel on her own for a while, and she's been feeding the Ghost crew intel until finally they want to meet, and it turns out, oh my god, it's Ahsoka. And so 4 or 5 seasons of Rebels later, she's a full-fledged member of the cast, and Ezra Bridger, in an act of self-sacrifice, essentially sacrifices himself to save everybody and is flung into the far reaches of the unknown regions of space.
This is the reason everybody's got to watch Rebels, for that last little bit.
So
their explanation of the Force.
Watch that last bit, and then there's a period where the show breaks, credits roll, and then there's the post-credit scene where Sabine, after the Battle of Endor, sometime after the Battle of Endor, which coincidentally ties into the same period as the Mandalorian, is standing on a dock somewhere, and a ship rolls up, the door opens, and out comes Ahsoka dressed in full white robes with a staff, looking very Gandalf-like.
Very Gandalf. Did you see the Dave Filoni's picture? It was like 6 months ago. He tweeted a picture of that version of Ahsoka that he drew standing beside Gandalf.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
And basically said, Ahsoka the White.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. And so that's the sort of, and they both say, like, let's go find Ezra.
Yeah, so it's the, I think the line is something to the effect of, it's time to bring him home. And so the ending of the series is Ahsoka and Sabine going off to search for Ezra Bridger. So the rumor is that the Mandalorian will tie into that somehow, that we're probably going to be introduced to the live-action versions of Sabine and quite possibly down the line Ezra Bridger if they bring him back.
While we're on Sabine, did it really bother anybody else that her name was Ren when like W-R-E-N, but the House of Ren, and then Kylo Ren, and
the Knights of Ren.
Anyways, that drove me crazy.
A little bit of an oversight there. Oops. It's no better.
Sorry, man, I cut you off.
No, you didn't cut me off.
I just wanted to say, like, it's interesting that I never engaged with that part of the fandom, but that character is still so ubiquitous that I do have some knowledge of her without really diving in.
It really, really, really brings home Anakin's fall.
Yeah.
It adds so much gravitas to why he fell. Like, I know it's all about Padme, and it's all about how he feels betrayed by Obi-Wan.
Yep.
But you actually get to see his heart break when she rejects the Jedi.
Yeah.
And it's a catalyst for him rejecting the Jedi.
Yep.
It's heavy-duty writing. Dave Filoni is the man.
Eric, if you haven't gone back to season 7 of Clone Wars, like, you could skip a lot of it, but the final 4-episode arc is a must-see. It's an absolute...
Take it under advisement.
It's
you can watch it like a movie.
See.
You can watch it like a movie. Those last 4 episodes.
Yeah, because they literally overlap the events of Revenge of the Sith. Like, it's happening concurrently.
Yeah, it's like watching it happen from other characters' perspectives.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right, and this is, as I say, and it's not to throw shade at Jay, where Jay was like, well, this is the thing, we just didn't get to know anyone else's story, but now we are.
Yeah.
And this is all happening in the background.
For sure.
Epic stories happening in the background of the Star Wars or Skywalker saga.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's, as I say, right, that's just how I look at it. But right, when he's like, oh, we just watched, 3 people's,
the only 3 people in the galaxy
that actually did something.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no.
There's more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's quite vast. Yeah,
I think.
A lot of the new properties are bringing a lot of those things in. Like I always thought that the IG-88, like the assassin droid, in the original series, like I always thought that it was kind of a joke because it's like, oh, it's a droid. Like droids don't improvise. Like how would that work as an assassin? But then they showed IG-11.
Oh yeah.
In The Mandalorian, and okay, I can understand how a robot can kick ass now.
I don't know. I mean, even Return of the Jedi kind of showed that droids could exceed their programming by convincing C-3PO to, impersonate a deity.
I always felt like R2 was force sensitive.
You gotta wonder.
I really always did. Like he's always hanging on by the skin of his teeth somehow. He's always pulling off the wind. He's open the door at the right time.
There's an intuition there that does not exist in other droid characters.
In terms of the old 6D6 West End games we were talking about, he completely exhibits force sensitive abilities in terms of the way that game mechanic works.
He would have
like
one dice of sense,
stuff like that.
Even a built-in slot for a saber.
Yeah, really.
Well, when you never get a memory wipe,
that's true.
Look what happens.
Yeah,
right.
Do droids dream of electric sheep? Electric midi-chlorians?
Oh, my
I said
God.
the word.
You did say the word.
We did a whole 3-hour podcast without talking about midi-chlorians.
How did that even happen?
I don't know.
Because I think we all consider it to be a curse word. So
did you hear the Lucas said? And I don't know if he was trying to defend Disney or like sort of take shade away or something, but he had said, well, if you didn't like that trilogy, you would have hated mine because I was going to go into the microscopic world and the whole thing was going to be about midi-chlorians.
Oh, no.
So
that's what he said.
Here's my thing about midi-chlorians.
Sure.
They say in the movie that you have a lot of midi-chlorians, so you're going to be very well attuned to the Force.
Yeah.
I take it the other way around. This kid has so much force potential that he attracts a lot of midi-chlorians.
Possibly.
I have a fan fiction that I've been kicking around in my head. And if midi-chlorians are a thing and they're canon, right?
Yeah.
Why can't I, as a bounty hunter, kidnap a Jedi and get a blood transfusion?
Well, there you go.
Why can't I be a badass Star Wars villain that runs around sucking the blood out of Jedi?
Maybe
and wielding the dark side of the Force.
Maybe midichlorians are only compatible with certain blood types.
It's possible, but it's described in the Phantom Menace novel that all life forms have midichlorians.
Yeah, of course.
Different amounts.
Of course, yeah.
Well, they just released a book today from, I'm not sure who, but it's includes a lot of far-flung facts and little known trivia and whatnot. And one of them in there is about Lucas and his thoughts on midichlorians.
Yeah.
And like you were saying, the whole underground micro.
Yeah.
What's the word here?
The microscopic?
Yeah, like a biosphere.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
but it touched also on, you know how somebody had suggested that Yoda is one of the Willems?
The Whills.
Yeah.
The Whills, yeah.
Yeah.
But this touched on that the Whills were actually the people on the other end of the Force that were controlling it all and feeding through the midichlorians.
Interesting.
See, now we're getting into some like Scientology shit.
We're going real meta here.
Your body is made up of tiny organisms.
We're getting real meta. And that's okay. I mean, midichlorians like it, hate it. It exists. It's a thing, and I think the franchise.
I found a way to justify it. That's all I wanted to say.
Sure. And the franchise made overtures towards, I guess I would say, going back and making the Force a little bit more ambiguous for the sequel trilogy. It didn't deny anything that came before it, but it just never referenced it again.
Well, it's the prequel trilogy tried to make a science out of a religion.
Yeah,
which is
can't
kind
argue
of
with you
where
on
they
that.
went wrong.
The Wills are canonized in Clone Wars, though, aren't they?
I don't know if they are or not.
That's who teaches Qui-Gon the friggin' power of life after death.
Yeah, that may be true. Because in the new canon, he's supposed to be like the first Jedi to come back as a Force ghost, I believe.
Qui-Gon?
Yeah.
He can't manifest a body.
But
he was unable to complete the training because he was trained.
Oh, okay.
Like he was unable to complete the training, so he can't manifest the body, but he can manifest his consciousness. Essentially, he can speak to you. But he was able to teach Yoda, who was able to teach Obi-Wan, ostensibly.
So while you're looking that up, I want to talk about for a second here, if I can, one of the biggest disservices of. And I hate to pick on The Last Jedi, but the sequel trilogy went out of its way to really kind of force feed us these, what they're now calling legacy characters. And so you have this whole thing with Admiral Akbar. He survived the attack on Endor and the second Death Star. And so now he's the arguably the greatest military leader in Alliance history. Was he not denied his moment? The Holdo maneuver should have been the Akbar maneuver. He should have been the one to let everybody abandon ship, and I will take the ship, and I will drive it through the stupid big Star Destroyer thing.
Yeah. But they had to kill off the other woman, right? Because you can only have one.
She could have been picked off in a random blaster shot.
Not by stormtroopers.
I was hoping she was going to get eaten by a T-Rex.
Well,
on a toilet?
That may happen. She's in the
next
one.
She's coming back for that new Jurassic Park they just announced. And apparently Sam Neill's coming back for that too, yeah.
John Williams.
John Williams once again. There you go.
Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah.
You just said Jurassic Park, and it reminded me. Have you guys seen the Animaniacs teaser?
I've seen yes, I did see the Jurassic Park one. You sent it to me, didn't you?
Oh my god!
Somebody sent it to me.
Wasn't me.
Okay.
I sent it to you.
You did, yeah. And I watched it. I quite liked it. The problem is I don't subscribe to Hulu, so I'm gonna have a hard time watching that.
Well, we don't get Hulu up here. There is no Hulu Canada.
No.
So it'll probably end up on Crave or something.
Oh, bud, you just got to get a VPN provider and switch that, voodoo it up.
So that I can sign up with my Canadian address.
Yeah.
But I'm in America.
Watch Different Strokes on Netflix from China.
Exactly.
There's a Chinese version of the show, Suits. Or no, it's Japanese, rather. It's same plot, it's just Japanese actors, Japanese language.
Well, right. There's 7 versions of The Office.
Yeah.
Oh my
Have
God.
you seen? You guys know Brooklyn Nine-Nine? There's a Quebec Canadian version of Brooklyn Nine-Nine. It's scene for scene, shot for shot. The actors, they attempt to make the actors look identical.
But it's in French, right?
Funny.
It's in French, yeah.
Wow.
Quebecois.
Sandberg's supposed to be doing a new superhero flick.
I would watch that.
High.
Oh boy.
Weed powered superhero.
Man.
Double entendre there.
Yeah.
Well, I'm kind of running out of steam.
Oh, that's
here,
fine,
boys.
guys. I just thought
you
we could just shoot the shit for a little while, and if you're tapped, that's okay. We don't have to do anymore, but I just wanted to keep the conversation going and maybe catch something special. And I think we've got lots here to use if we want to publish it, or we can dole it out in small doses later on down the road.
I think that as you go on, like if you do start to monetize it, kind of a Patreon's pretty much inevitable, because it's one of the easiest, fastest ways to fund something. Like if you get a good crowd of people who,
we
actually, couple bucks a month.
We actually chose our host based on their monetization options. So we're banking on the fact that this is a brand new platform that's less than a year old, that as we grow, they will grow. And so it's just cool to be part of something that's new and fresh. And so
the point was you might just want to hold something back for like a premium tier.
Yeah. But if you're considering doing your own stuff, Eric, take a look at redcircle.com.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, gentlemen, I guess we'll call it a night. It's just after 10 o'clock here in Ontario, so it's a little after 11 for you, Hank, right?
No problem, buddy. I'm not working this weekend.
Oh, good. Well, I had a great time. We'll try to get some photos together and maybe get them sent off to you, and maybe you can
that would be amazing. Yeah,
put your touch on it and maybe cartoonize.
You should have like a form or a Google Doc or something for your guests, so you can be like, "What are your other interests?"
Yeah. So what you should do is go to the socials for any of our shows, and what you can do is you can either contact us directly through the show page, or you can email us, because right now all of our shows are forwarded off to one central email, so any one of us has access to it, and we're happy to take your ideas and develop them. So,
all right.
I have an idea for a podcast, but it would only be like a segment. But I want it to be in Galaxy. You guys have ever heard of Night Vale? It's an old podcast.
I have not.
Where it's a radio station in a town where all this crazy horror shit happens.
Oh.
But it's so cool because they never break characters. So my idea is like the character is like it's like pirate radio but Star Wars.
Cool.
This guy is running around hiding from the Empire, and he's giving galactic weather reports, and he's talking about where like
so it's almost like a radio play.
Almost like a radio play where it's
cool.
like, and it could be a segment. I'm just playing around with ideas like that. Like,
I don't know if I have the acting chops for that, but I would be more than happy to participate in that with you.
That's cool though, because you can do that, as you say, from wherever, and even if you do it in little like bites.
Yeah, that's why I was thinking it would be a smaller kind of thing,
Sure.
Yeah, and then you could, right? But I mean, if you do like several pieces at the same time, and then, as you say, I think that's so cool. And you'd be like just a galactic news guy trying to get things done, and yet there's this civil war that's getting in his way.
Exactly.
Well, look how they handled bringing J.K. Simmons back to Spider-Man and turning JJJ from a paper editor into a rag website.
Did you see they got Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire signed on?
Did you see that was debunked?
Yeah, I saw it was.
Did you see that was debunked yesterday? But
I have not seen that.
I actually question, is that deliberate misdirection to keep the fan fervor down?
That could be viral marketing for the next Spider-Verse movie.
Entirely
they're
possible.
doing another one.
Well,
that's throw it out to gauge fan interest.
Yeah, of course. But going back to that, like, look at what they did with him, and then if you kind of contrast or add that to the beginning of every episode of the Clone Wars was like a news flash, and they would do the whole like
news from the front.
Yeah, definitely. And I was thinking what was sort of inspiring was that the clips from Starship Troopers, the news clips from Starship Troopers, right?
Do you want to know more?
Exactly.
Or the similar, also a Verhoeven movie, the RoboCop TV spots.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd buy that for $1.
Kind of vibe. That kind of vibe, but in universe, never breaking character, but in small, like not so much that you're going to run out of material.
Like 3 or 4 minutes at a time, or
yeah, maybe 5-10 minutes. I could probably fill, like galactic weather and like reports from the front, or things of that nature. I haven't really hacked it out, but I just thought it would be kind of neat to explore that kind of idea.
Communications from Alderaan mysteriously cut out earlier today.
Yeah, really.
Exactly.
And that's where it really becomes interesting, is when you start plucking out those moments that nobody else has touched on yet.
And this is what's so good about this Vader comic.
Yeah.
They're literally, there's he tries to go to where Padme is buried. He uses his spy network and stuff. And when he gets there, he sees Padme. And on the cover, he's holding Padme, and you're like, okay, what the fuck?
What's going on
he's
here?
Interacting with her, but it turns out to be Sabe, her double, and who doesn't know that he's Anakin and thinks that still thinks Anakin murdered Padme.
Yeah.
And so they start working together to, and it's actually super good stuff.
Yeah.
If you get a chance, check out the Vader comic. It's real good. Yeah.
Well,
I've seen some of them.
I'll look for that.
Coming up at the Dollarama drop.
Yeah.
Some of the Vader ones have showed up there.
Have they?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's good stuff. There's lots of little stuff with the Emperor where he's like, This is the first Vader series of the modern stuff, because they've done a few different ones, but where he's treated like he's an abused child.
Yeah.
He's routinely punished, like spanked is a metaphor, but he's routinely spanked by the Emperor.
Yeah, okay.
And they get into like like his uniform is designed to cause him extreme pain.
Yes, I did read an article on that. Yeah.
Designed by the Emperor. Just
right,
purpose. Because
what, like Speedball?
Yeah, very penance. Yeah, just like that.
Yeah, just like apparently when he puts the helmet on, a bunch of needles just like into his skull, and and at the same time he's supposed to use the pain and the horror of that to channel the dark side of the Force, and it's on purpose because there's no reason. Like it's Anakin Skywalker. He built C-3PO, right? He could make a fucking kick-ass set of armor. That
of course he could.
Hurt him at all. And,
Yeah.
But it's this archaic. They even use some of the breathing armor on other characters, and it's said to be super archaic.
Yeah.
Like it's just old tech that the Emperor forces him to use.
Really? Well,
it's really cool.
It's a great visual effect, though.
Oh, I mean, iconic. We never got into that, too. Darth Vader is the most iconic villain of all time.
Cinematic? Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, cinematic.
For sure.
Yes, absolutely.
I would agree with that. Well, guys, we'll call it here. And once again, thanks ever so much for your continued participation.
Oh, thank you, man.
So much appreciated. And
super fun.
When you get to the point where you're developing that thing, Hank, let me know what I can do to help you.
No problem, brother.
All
absolutely.
Good to talk to you guys again.
All right.
Yes, sir.
We'll talk soon,
wonderful.
everybody.
I look forward to more.
All right,
let's
guys.
do it again soon.
Yep, we'll talk soon.
Bye.
Hey guys, thanks for listening to Fandom Power. Be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram and Twitter. Stay tuned for our next episode where we'll be talking about another one of your favorite fandoms. Fandom Power is a Sawcast production.